2021 was a year I attempted to do so much, and while I did achieve a few major feats such as passing my trichology course with flying colours, launching my one-to-one coaching program aimed at self-acceptance and hair growth, and finally starting to settle into Trinidad, where I am at present, I often felt overwhelmed, overworked, and out of sorts. Like I was on a hamster wheel, going and going and going, but leading to nowhere. And this made it difficult for me to show up consistently on YouTube. In today's video, I'm going to tell you a bit more about what was coming up for me last year and how I'm moving forward. Hello love! If you're new here, my name is Asha. I'm a level 4 certified trichologist in training, and I help new and overwhelmed naturals grow long, healthy hair for the first time. But today we're not talking about hair at all. So grab yourself a cup of tea. This is going to be a chatty video. I'm going to untwist my hair, so I'm just going to change into my home clothes. I've got my babasu oil here and a pair of scissors, so I'm ready. So make sure that you're ready and come back and let's get into it. That's more like it. So last year, one of the things that I really wanted was to move back to Europe. I had actually decided to stay in Trinidad in 2020 because of how the pandemic was panning out in Europe and some opportunities that I had spotted here. It was also a decision I made based on a feeling that was temporary. So last year, after having made the decision to stay in Trinidad and give up my residence permit for Switzerland, I awoke one day feeling completely out of sorts. What had I done? Things were worsening here, COVID-wise, there were restrictions in place. I missed my friends back in Zurich, Germany, etc. And truly I felt like I had very little freedom compared with the independence that I had enjoyed while living in Europe. I longed for the halcyon days when I could hop on a train and travel to a new unexplored city by myself on a whim. And at the same time, while harbouring all of this longing, I was also feeling as though I was meant to be feeling at home here. But I really didn't. There were things I really needed to just take my time, process and adjust to, and I really didn't feel like I could talk to anyone else about them. For example, I was super overwhelmed just by merely existing in an English-speaking country again after spending 10 years in the non-English speaking world. Having to do small talk and everything in English felt so bizarre for me, even though English had been the lingua franca in the countries that I had lived in. And obviously, the way people relate to each other is different in every place, and Trinidad is no exception. But I was putting an awful lot of pressure on myself to comport myself as if I had never left, only to feel disheartened when that proved to be an impossible undertaking. At the same time, I was adjusting to often feeling isolated, albeit on a beautiful island in the Caribbean, and making the connections that I could in the backdrop of a pandemic. It was also wonderful to be so close to my mummy, and there were sides of Trinidad that I hadn't before been part of that I got to explore. And I did my fair share of adventuring and hiking, which scratched my itch to get back into nature. Being here also meant that I had the space and time to continue building my company as well. And we'll talk a bit more about my company in a bit. Last year, I endeavoured to continue learning and doing, and I enrolled with the College of Trichological Science and Practice. This was a dream come true, as I had long since dreamt of pursuing my passion for hair in a more formal way, and it was the perfect outlet for that passion. While my master's in molecular biology certainly stood me in good stead, I was still challenged and I enjoyed every moment of it. I still had loads to learn. More specifically, we had modules on psychology, nutrition, anatomy, loads of things that I hadn't done before. Most importantly, hair and scalp ailments too. And not only did we have our standard materials for the course itself, but we also had access to the TRI digital library, which is such an enriching resource full of lectures and articles showcasing the state of the art of hair science and cosmetics. I was in heaven. At the same time, I really missed multilingual spaces, and I felt as though I was losing my German and my Spanish. So I was taking Spanish and German classes as well. So I was learning a lot, attending lectures, meeting with clients, reading books, building a business, and I didn't really have one place to store everything. So I would do a few things in Airtable, a few other things in Google Docs. Sometimes I would use the Notes app on my phone, but I had like all of these disconnected systems, and what I really wanted was something unified and interconnected so that I could easily draw connections between things and continue to expand, so to kind of work deeply. And I ended up finding a system called a second brain, and that changed my life forever. So I was introduced to the concept by one of Ali Abdaal's videos. So I looked at his video, Elizabeth Phillips's video, read Gregory's video, and I tried to build my own second brain. I got really obsessive about it because I wanted it to be perfect just for me. I spent a long time doing that, and I realized that this was not something for me to do, that I needed to hire someone else to do it for me. So in the end, I invested in a Notion expert who built a second brain database for me, and my goodness, how my life has changed. I now have like one space for literally absolutely everything, and it's just made all of my work so much easier. For example, having a single outlet for my scripts, travel plans, lecture notes, articles that I find, clients, any sorts of ruminations, all of that, it has really leveled up my efficiency. And I also have these systems integrated within my database so that if I'm following a specific process, I don't need to start from scratch. Everything is already laid out for me. For example, I have a really clear process for when I onboard one of my one-to-one coaching clients, or for when I come across an article that I find interesting and I want to include it in my database. The idea of having this system in place is to cater to the version of myself who's feeling lazy and unmotivated, because I want to make it such that that version of me is still able to get shit done. I don't want there to be any room for excuses. I want it to be such that even if I'm feeling crippling self-doubt and I'm feeling tired, it's still so easy for me to do my work that I just do it. This year, as I continue with my studies in hair science and trichology and continue to build my business, I know that having a system like this in place is going to prove extremely helpful. Oh, is my hair a bit unkempt? Anyway, so last year, something that happened was, even though I prioritized being radically kind to my hair and radically gentle with it and attending to it, life got in the way and I neglected my hair a few times. And one of those times I actually ended up having accidental locks. That was not fun at all. Towards the end of last year, I decided to invest in a regimen building consultation with Jackie van Driel, who is a renowned trichologist based in the Netherlands, who is an expert not only in Afro hair, but all types of hair. And she just seemed like the perfect choice for me to have another pair of eyes on my regimen and to comb through exactly what I had been doing and why, and how I could move forward in a way that felt good for me and would also allow me to kind of retain and work with a lot of the practices I had already formed that worked really nicely for me. And so something we settled on was my transitioning from, I think I had 52 sections to 26 sections that I now have, and to handling my hair more regularly. So I now handle and detangle my hair once every 2 weeks as opposed to once a month. And there are a few other things that I've changed about my regimen, but we won't go into the details now. Is this something that you want to hear more about? If so, let me know and I will make a video on this topic. Just drop a comment below. Let's talk about something I'm really excited about, and those are my mini deep dives. I want to provide in-depth science-based solutions for naturals who want to take their regimen to the next level. These mini deep dives will be focused on specific aspects of your regimen and complement what you see on YouTube. The next one will be focused on choosing oils and butters for your hair and the science of doing so. By the end of it, you'll be empowered to choose oils and butters for your hair with an appreciation of the undergirding science that supports that decision. Click the link in the description box to sign up. Last year, I wanted to continue doing one-to-one consultations and coaching sessions during which I helped naturals grow long, healthy hair for the first time. Now, something I should mention perhaps about now is that I, like many of you, started therapy in 2020. My therapist and I were looking mainly into my anxiety and crippling self-doubt, which would often stymie me and prevent me from moving forward. Something that I learned in therapy was to write affirming letters to myself and gently ease myself into having a compassionate inner voice that could serve as an internal safety net, regardless of what the outside world was doing. So in one of my sessions with my therapist, she asked me how I felt I could practice being kind to myself. And the answer was so obvious to me. I had spent years crafting a radically kind and radically gentle relationship with my natural hair, yet my inner voice was so unkind. So I realized that I could actually learn from my relationship with my hair and use my relationship with my hair as a proxy for my relationship with myself. So up until this point in time, being gentle with my hair was something that I had just been doing, mainly because I knew that there was scientific validity to handling my hair gently, because I knew it would help me preserve my strands for longer, given that hair can only be preserved or destroyed. In building my one-to-one coaching program, I didn't just want to get people longer hair. I wanted to help people repair their relationships with their hair, as these were often formed in an environment that was unaccepting and unforgiving of their texture. And what even is the point of growing out your natural hair if you fail to interrogate the conditioning that underpins how you've been treating it to date? It's been such a joy to go on this journey with clients, having channeled my own realizations from therapy into the program. And the program seeks not only to help people improve the look and feel of their hair, because of course that's part of it, but also to improve how they feel about their hair and dig more deeply into that. I also consistently on YouTube and Instagram with high quality content that gives immense value and also attracts my dream clients. However, I was grappling with a few things that hampered this. First of all, I was feeling overwhelmed. Building a program required so much work, and so did studying trichology and just running a business in general. Showing up consistently online was another beast. And having anxiety, perfectionism, and self-doubt certainly didn't help things. All right, so let me tell you something about myself. My energy fluctuates massively. So in some moments I'll be feeling really confident and creative and outgoing and just like I can do all of the things. And then I'll suddenly be jolted with self-doubt out of nowhere and enter a downswing where it becomes really difficult to do the simplest of things. So I kind of vacillate between these two really extreme states. And given that I want to embrace the fact that this is how my energy works and flow with it instead of trying to change it or combat it or lambast myself for existing in this way, I've decided to do a few things to deal with it. The first thing is that I'm learning to accept that I'm doing things for the first time, so things are not going to be perfect the first time. I will make mistakes, and in this way, failure simply becomes a means to correct course. It doesn't mean anything about me as a person. It means something about the actions that I was taking, and it's just data to make things better. I can always pick myself back up again if things go wrong, and having that internal safety net that I've been working on in therapy supports this. Number two, I spent a lot of time observing myself last year, like wondering, okay, why is my energy low right now? Yesterday I was feeling really, really good, and now I feel like, oh, I can't do anything, and why do I have brain fog, and why is this and why is that? And now I'm just embracing that this is how my energy is and working with it and not against it. I am setting up systems that support the diverse and varied nature of my energy. And I would like to encourage you to do that too if you notice any similarities between the way you exist and the way that I do. And then thirdly, I've invested in an accountability coach who is so kind and warm and supportive and yet quite firm with me. And the aim is to keep going and keep making steps ahead in a way that doesn't feel overwhelming or lead to burnout. Are you still here? What are your thoughts on all of this? Let me know below. I'm Asha, this is Naturally High, and I help new and overwhelmed naturals grow long, healthy hair for the first time. If you liked this video, you will probably also like this one too. It's a very chatty, free-flowy type video from me. And also let me know if you like this style, and I will consider sharing and divulging more from my life in this way if you enjoy it.